anybody who's watching this program who's got this idea that the war in Ukraine is as it is being described in the New York Times, the Financial Times, the Guardian, the Washington Post, MSNBC, NBC, all of these places, their account of the
Alex.
war
Hold on.
is
I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. You're telling me the people who told us what was happening. I'm a Muslim, right? Right. You're telling me the people who told us what was happening in Iraq 1 and Iraq 2 and Libya and Somalia and Pakistan
and Syria.
Yes.
I mean, they weren't telling the truth.
Yes.
They're not telling the truth now, really?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm shocked.
Indeed, shocked. I mean, absolutely. But I mean, the account of the war that you're reading about and hearing in Western media is essentially, it's not essentially, it is almost entirely fiction.
Yes. You have said this, that one of the things that happens with greater authoritarianism and regulation is it creates more innovation as people look to flee that.
Look, this is the age-old thing. Some idiot, some jackass thinks he can monopolize a resource, and then people evade him.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
The world's most advanced cold wallet for the new generation of cryptocurrency lovers, Descent.
Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. I am joined once again by Tom Luongo, one of the sharpest economic, political, macro commentators going, and we're going to be talking about cryptocurrencies, how he sees that they're going to be rolling out over the next few months. And also, we're going to be talking about what's happening in Ukraine and how that's going to be affecting the world in large and what's going to be shaping up for us ahead. Hey, Tom, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Always, Rich. You know that. Whenever you need me, you should be. As long as I don't have a prior commitment or I'm not like falling over my coffee, we should be able to do this.
No, I get it. No, and I so appreciate it. And I know you've been churning out loads and loads of material, and people can find you on your website, tomluongo.me, and I'll have the links in the description below, but also on Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And you're popping up on other podcasts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Zero Hedge.
It's getting crazy, actually. It's just this I can't pat myself, break my hand, pat myself on the back or anything, but since the outbreak of war between Russia and Ukraine, because, I have years of backlog and I now have the ability, everybody's like, hey, so Tom, what's going on? Tom, what's going on? And I'm getting, the phone is ringing off the hook and I can barely, barely keep up with it. And remember to schedule them all so I don't cross schedule, which is because I don't organize anything. So
yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know Tom's work, it's incredibly astute and sharp. And I've been listening to you for years and years, and really grateful that I have you on usually once a month or something. But I'm also like, oh my God, Tom's getting the recognition that he deserves. And then one day he'll be as well known as some of the really, really big names in the alternative commentator space.
Well, we all know each other and we all know of each other. And I find, and it is what it is. And again, it's an organic thing. I don't have a press secretary. I don't have a publicist or anything like that. So we're just doing our thing, myself and my partner in the newsletter, Dexter White. And, quality speaks for itself and it eventually sells itself. And, the Patreon is doing very well. And so what can I say? I can't really complain. People give me money to, shit post on the internet. It's the life I always hope for. So just stay humble, stay nimble, and remember that, we're here doing this because we feel an obligation to try and make sure that people are armed with the best information we have. Now, we live in an age of, where information is not fungible or, where it's not fungible because it's just, the disinformation now, certainly since Russia invaded Ukraine, is off the charts. We have so little good information, and the fog of war is so thick, and the censorship is coming hot and heavy that, none of us are going to get everything right, no matter how hard we try, and no matter how hard we want to be right about everything, and find the information we're going to need to be able to, prove our theses or whatever they are. And just remember that, we're all not going to bat 1,000. Neither me or the Alex at the Duran thing. Unfortunately, Alex couldn't be here with us today, or anybody. I mean, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about Pepe Escobar or anybody else. No one is going to be 100% correct about any of this stuff. So you do your best, and you stay abreast of it, and you be humble, and you admit your mistakes, and you don't pat yourself too hard on the back for wins, and you move on.
Okay. Well, look, how we're going to do this is we're going to have to spend, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes. I want to get your take on how you see cryptocurrency is going to play out in all this. Bitcoin plus any other cryptocurrencies that you think might be relevant, how the government's going to play it, where are people going to go, and also if you want to mention gold and silver, the role that they're going to play. Right. And then the rest of this video isn't going to be on YouTube. I'm being shadow banned on both my YouTube channels.
Sure.
My backup one and my main one. So the rest of it will be on Odyssey and then later on BitTube. So if you're not already following me on Odyssey, please do so. The link is in the description below. Actually, it's bit.ly/CryptoRich Odyssey. You can find me there and also on BitTube. Okay, so take it away, Tom. What are people going to do with what's going to happen with cryptocurrencies?
Okay, well, the first thing to remember is that war is bad for liquidity, right? We're in a war. World War III has now started. It started 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, 9 days ago, when the Russians moved across the border in Ukraine. So war is never good for global liquidity. People immediately get the cash. We're seeing, the uncertainty creates a lack of liquidity. We all take money out of the bank. We stick it in our shelves. We look for bolt holes in order to ensure that we have enough cash and enough resources available to us to be able to get the things in the world that we need, because that's what money is ultimately for. Right? Money is not this thing we're supposed to make money with. We hope for that during times of plenty and when times of predictability. That's what we're supposed to put our money to work, creating new wealth and pulling a percentage of the profits off of ourselves. That's what we mean by having our money make money. But it's about taking our money and deploying it in the real world to get real things. When things become very unpredictable, people have to raise cash in order to be able to live the life they need to get those immediate high time preference needs: food, shelter, clothing, heat, energy, blah, blah, blah. So I haven't been surprised at all that Bitcoin has seen a couple of really ugly downdrafts since the beginning of the hostilities in Ukraine. It makes perfect sense. Dollar liquidity is drying up. If anybody looks at the US dollar index, you'll see it, busting out to new highs. Now, this is primarily a euro and yen phenomenon. It's not breaking, the dollar's not breaking out. Luke Roman pointed this out the other day against, say, like the Chinese yuan or the Brazilian real. Okay. But it is breaking out against the euro and the yen. Now, those are two currencies that are in serious debt trouble and have serious current account problems and, all the rest of it. So this is a roundabout way of saying that when dollar liquidity is tight, people have to go and get dollars where they can get them. And anybody using leverage in the crypto space is going to get hammered, because it's not like there are position limits and stuff on this stuff. It's not like the trading Bitcoin and Ethereum on leverage in the mostly unregulated space, where you can get ridiculous amounts of leverage like you can in the foreign exchange markets, the forex markets, isn't going to create very, very easy opportunities for downdrafts, especially for professionals to come in and go, dude, I need, a couple of $1 million. Boom, let's bomb the price of Bitcoin at this moment in time on this exchange because, 75% of the traders are leveraged 50 to 1. Well, this is not going to be hard, So don't be surprised by that. But at the same time, notice how gold is broken out. Now, gold is breaking out right next to the price of oil is also breaking out, which is a big tell that the game is changing, that the world is rushing towards tangible assets. Everybody's getting to quality. They're getting to cash. Gold is cash. Bitcoin is cash. Cash is cash. Oil is the thing everybody wants cash for. Okay? So, or grain or industrial metals or any of the rest of it. Go look at the price of industrial metals. Have you looked at them? I have. They're all trading at all-time highs. Some of them are trading at double their all-time highs. Does anybody look at the grain market? Soybeans are trading at $17 a bushel. I have a patron who's a farmer in Canada. Has been getting record profits, free on board. People showing up to his grain silos, not even like futures contracts, just showing up to the grain silos with a truck and getting unbelievable prices for his rapeseed and the soybeans.
Wow. Oats
are trading at $7 a bushel. I've been following the oats market since I had hair. I've never seen it above $3 a bushel. Every time I got to $3 a bushel, I used to write like little articles when I was poor and just getting into this business for somebody, like little SEO articles, $5 an article for a day for some stupid, clickbait SEO blog. I'm like, oh, look, oats are $3 a bushel, time to sell, because they always get sold at $3 a bushel. They're at $7 because people can't get higher protein feed on a per dollar basis to blend into their feed stocks on a per dollar basis per percent protein, which is how feed is blended, right? In terms of crude protein and crude fat. Oats are higher in crude fat than other things, but low in protein. So, but just $7 a bushel, and that's still cheaper than $17 a barrel a bushel soybeans, or $8 a bushel corn. Like, this is what you're seeing. Okay, at those prices, you're not going to see corn planted. You're going to see oats planted. You're not going to see as many soybeans planted. It's just not going to happen. It's like, again.
How will that
so my point being is that when we go back to crypto, okay, because I know you originally asked about crypto, but this is all just to give you the lay of the land. We are in a structurally inflationary environment while wages are capped and commodity inflation is going crazy. In the short term, there's not going to be a whole lot of marginal flow into Bitcoin in the short term. It's just not going to happen. I'm not saying that there's not going to be people moving into it because they're scared and they need to get around capital controls in places like Russia and in Europe, especially Europe. Absolutely. But in the first flush of this, right now, I would be shocked if Coinbase was registering massive, regular new inflows in the crypto, as opposed to people just building cash balances in their portfolio, in their equity portfolios, okay, or in their personal lives. Right? I would be shocked to hear that. But if that's happening, great. But then why isn't the price?
Yep.
Okay, we would see it in the price. We saw a big jump in price earlier in the week when, right after the sanctions came down, or earlier this week after the sanctions came down from the West, and there was panic in Russia, and we saw massive on-chain activity out of Russia in Bitcoin, and that forced the price up into the low 40s or mid 40s. But now we're back down into the high 30s. Again, we come into the weekend in the high 30s, and everybody's like, well, the markets are going to be closed for 2 days. So like Friday, I was not shocked at all. If I was a day trader, which I'm not, a terrible trader, so I don't do this stuff, but if I was a day trader, I would have been coming into Friday morning going, yeah, they're going to bomb Bitcoin. Not because they're sinister, but because who wants to go into the weekend the way things have been going without having raised as much cash as possible? Because remember, all the big sanctions packages were announced when? At 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon Eastern time, when everybody is trapped and all the markets are closed, and we're 2 hours before the Sydney Open, or an hour and a half before the Sydney Open. I think the same thing is going to happen tomorrow. And so savvy traders all over the world are going, yeah, I'm going to grab whatever I can. Bitcoin's at 45 grand. Yeah, I can pop that. I can, pop that cherry. I just made 20% on that trade because I was in it, 35 last week or whatever. And they're going to do that. And so you're going to get very choppy action in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is ultimately, at this point in time, a first derivative of dollar liquidity. And if anybody thinks otherwise, they are fooling themselves. Okay. Now, the bigger picture is unbelievably bullish. So if you have cash and you're overweight in, if you're overweight in the DeFi space, like, this is the time for the privacy coins. They're trading at unbelievable valuations. I mean, unbelievable valuations. Decred at 55, Monero at 160, Haven at $2, Pirate Chain at $1.10. Like or maybe $1.15. I'm looking at Pirate Chain right now. It's like it was up $1.12. Really? Like, these are your hardcore privacy coins, and they're trading at unbelievable valuations. I don't count Zcash because I don't think anybody actually uses it. So I may be wrong about that. And you all can roast me in the comments below if you so choose. I'm happy to hear. I'm happy to hear it. I don't keep up with Zcash anymore. I'm very sorry.
No. There'll be plenty of people from the Pirate Chain crew, because I'm a member of the Pirate Chain crew.
I know you are. So.
You can give me a ticker symbol for Pirate Chain in the comments below. I'd appreciate that. And which, by the way, if you don't know, is R.
ARR.
But why I think I know the answer, right? But I want to hear from you. Why the privacy coins?
Because it's very obvious. We had Blackface Hitler 2 weeks ago come out and go, if you engage in wrongthink and you don't like what I have to say, I'm gonna unperson you and take your money away from you. Now the only reason he didn't get away with that long term is because Blackface Hitler was told by the banks, like, by the way, we don't have any deposits left, and you're gonna crash the entire freaking Canadian economy. So Blackface Hitler, knock it off. He was told by the Canadian Senate. That's like being told by the House of Lords, Parliament was wrong. Yep. When's the last time the House of Lords went against the Parliament when it wasn't Brexit related?
We're actually quite recently with the police bill.
Okay, cool.
You know about that, right? But then the House of Commons voted that through anyway.
Okay, well, okay, that's fine. in Canada, like the Canadian Senate, which is effectively like is a rubber stamp authority, mostly like the House of Lords. It's all unelected. It's built around the same model as the House of Lords in many ways, from what I understand. I don't know much about it, but I know enough to know that them telling him he doesn't have the votes to get a rubber stamp was like a political Armageddon. It was one note below a vote of no confidence against him and his entire government. And so Davos lost that round because Davos went for the full thing. Like they're going for it all. They're going for the whole. They're going for the whole ball of wax in every area of their Great Reset because they can see if they don't, Putin may run the table on them.
Yep.
Okay. So why privacy coins? Because the governments are moving towards regulation, and none of the regulation is going to be good from a privacy perspective. It's good that that the cryptos are becoming legitimized. I am of the opinion that you have to take the good with the bad in order to get through the entire order of operations. So Bitcoin gets legitimized. Wall Street's in on it. They want to wag the dog with it. They want to make it part of the financial system. They may even want to make it part of national reserves of major countries. I wouldn't be surprised to see that in the next couple of years. But you want your pure anarcho-libertarian, decentralized future. I got news for you. It's not the 2020s. Okay, that's the 2030s. That's when that's when my teeth are falling out, and no one cares about me anymore. Right? I'm that old. My brain is cooked, and my teeth are falling out, and I'm being fed Jello. And everybody's gonna make fun of me and call me Joe Biden. Like I'm serious. Like I'm 54. I'm making fun of myself. But let's just be realistic. If crypto is a technology that is going to force hyper Bitcoin, hyper cryptoization. Because I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. So like Bitcoin maxis are just religious fanatics, and I've got no use for fundamentalism of any form. Then if it's a real technology that's capable of changing the world is not going to allow it to change overnight. Take each incremental win and each incremental setback as a battle in the war. So we get Russia coming out, a major economy like Russia coming out and saying, we're going to regulate it like a currency. Yes, you're not going to be able to have custodial wallets and everybody, you're going to have to register your wallets with the government and blah, 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 blah. And I've read all those freaking articles saying this isn't good for Bitcoin. Yes, it is good for Bitcoin. Why? Because it legitimizes it within the Russian banking system, which is going to be a major conduit for capital trying to flee Davos over the next 5 years. So the Russian banks are going to be even though they're technically Bitcoin's enemy, they really aren't. Because for a while, the enemy of my enemy will be my asset. And you have to think, you can't get emotional about this. You can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as Murray Rothbard would say. You have to see things along their way and in each order of operation. Do I like the Federal Reserve? No, I hate the Federal Reserve. But do I hate the ECB more? Oh, you betcha. And well, you should. And everybody here in the world, if you're listening to my voice, should be far more scared of Christine Lagarde than you should ever be of Jerome Powell. Period. And I've laid that case out in multiple videos and multiple podcasts. And if this is the first time you're listening to my work, my voice, you go back to June and you read everything I've written since and said since then, from the middle of June onward. And if you're not convinced, well, then stay poor. Have fun staying poor. And that's where I'll turn Bitcoin maxi. Okay. And so I think that the long-term story for Bitcoin and for cryptos in general is very, very bullish, but it's going to happen in stages. And as the governments become more rapacious, as they fail and as confidence in them fails, which is what Putin is doing in Ukraine, and we'll talk about this in a minute. What Putin is how he's pressuring them, because what he's doing now is racing to pressure the governments who are his enemies out of existence. Okay, through commodity inflation, through a rupturing of the global economy, which Davos thinks they're welcoming, and Putin's going, be careful what you wish for.
Yep. Okay. So then what you're saying is, so let me recap, right? So in a crisis, in a war, liquidity leaves the market because people want to have readies, and then they use that. Big players will use that to buy commodities, and small players, like myself, will go and buy food and shampoo and stuff, things that are go bad.
And we'll just keep their cash balances higher because they're not sure what's coming next, because they may need to leave their home because it may get bombed and they might need $5,000 or $10,000 just across the border.
And then they'll go to gold and then also to silver.
A little bit.
That's that's easily transferable, and you
kind of
change it. Well, I mean, in any jurisdiction, if you're going to run from a war zone, right, with a couple of ounces.
Yeah, I mean, silver has never been a cross-border currency. It's been a great cross-border currency because inflation has, because it's too freaking heavy.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just
gold, but gold, and then
gold, absolutely.
And then people will go to Bitcoin as well, because you can transfer it easily,
absolutely,
across distance. And then the governments are going to start regulating because, hey, wait a minute.
Right. Well, they don't want capital fleeing. Yeah,
we're losing out. I mean, I thought about this, Tom. Wouldn't it be great if you or I had the ability just to create the value transfer that everybody else used?
I know. Well, you do, Rich. Actually, you do. It's called a credit card. The problem is that they charge you, is that you're actually paying 15% for the privilege for them to create you.
No. But if I was the source,
I'm making it 0%. I'm selling it to you for 15.
That's right.
Oh, wouldn't it be great? Yeah. I mean, but I don't know about you, but I want that business.
Yeah, everybody would want that business.
Of course, everybody wants that business. So why would the Rothschilds and the the rest of them ever give it up, right?
So then Bitcoin's going to take away that monopoly, and then they're going to impose more regulation and everything. So then people are going to be driven towards the privacy coins, and in particular Pirate Chain, Monero, Decred, and Heaven. And there are others as well.
There are others, absolutely, that have some amount of I mean, even Bitcoin with Taproot has some privacy associated with it now. And Bitcoin as and these other quote unquote privacy coins as intermediaries to privatize your Bitcoin.
Yes,
is also very important as well. And that's a legitimate market function. Okay.
The application will allow you to wrap your Bitcoin onto a privacy-focused blockchain.
There's that as well.
You have said this, that one of the things that happens with greater authoritarianism and regulation is it creates more innovation as people look to flee that.
This is the age-old thing. Some idiot, some jackass thinks he can monopolize a resource, and then people evade him. Yep. And in times past, we would just move farther down the river. I control this river, blah, blah, so I'll move upstream. Now you don't control me anymore. Yep. Right? Well, okay, so we keep moving upstream of the money masters now. And they keep thinking they can control everything. And they can just get control of everything. Everything will be perfect. And we will control everything in perpetuity. And we will be like, okay, fine. Because we're robots, right? We're all perfect. We're all perfect consumers and easily led automatons. You people can't predict. You can't predict when someone's going to show up for work, for Christ's sake, and you're telling me that you're going to be able to predict the future. Like, it's bad enough that we have Martin Armstrong out there with a computer that thinks he can predict the future. Not saying that Marty's computer is a bad thing, or not even, but it's at best 50 to 65% accurate. It's constantly being updated in real time. So predictions it makes in 30 years ago still have to be fine-tuned over time. Oh, by the way, I mean, it's too big of it. I'm enough of a scientist, enough of a mathematician to know that you are dealing with a multivariate analysis in real time of real data. At times, these are conclusions in search of a hypothesis, as opposed to a hypothesis in search of a conclusion. You're begging your own questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I want to be very clear about this stuff.
Yes, no,
but I find all of it interesting and somewhat valuable.
Yes, because we're talking about a very, very complex system, and incredibly lots of moving parts and everything, right? And law of unintended consequences. So what I want to do is I want to move this on to what's happening in Ukraine with the conflict and how you see that rolling out. And I'm going to start by saying how I think it's going to roll out in Europe from listening to you and listening to Duran and other sources. And for anybody who's watching, the rest of this video is going to be on Odyssey and later on BitTube. This isn't going to be on YouTube, and this is because I'm doing what I can to flee the censorious shadow ban that big tech is enforcing and inflicting upon me. Okay, so here's how I see it. Europe